actually recorded that, which was funny. But what I want to say is, I don't think people in this country need to. Um, but what I want to say is, I don't think people in this country need to actually believe that our fellow man was that. I don't think. Can people hear me? I can't even tell. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Add a live goal. Can you add a live goal? Unlock a live goal. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but so. Oh, okay. So think about it. We had a person who put $300 million into our election. Romania saw that and they were like, nope, sorry. Nope, let's do it again. Let's do our election again. And our arrogance in this country, like we trust our system and we shouldn't. We shouldn't be trusting it. Not right now. You know? And Democrats keep bringing teddy bears to knife fights. You can't win that way. I think sometimes the Democrats are too snobby to get down and dirty and be evil right back. Like, in my opinion, I felt like, can people hear me? In my opinion, I felt that um, that the Democrats should have gone to the inauguration and just turned their back. And so polite. I think being polite is out. I think we just need to be getting gully and say no, because he's committing crimes. Now he's like deciding who can sign up for Medicaid. He already got rid of the insulin. What's next? Water? I mean, he's gonna say, "What's next? Water?" I mean, he's gonna say, "Oh, well, only rich people can have water." I mean, that's not too hard to imagine that he would do some shit like that. I think people need to be more concerned, and that's the whole KGB fight. You lose the desire to participate. I mean, look how many people didn't vote. They didn't vote at all because they don't believe in the system anymore. Why? Because the GOP people all have podcasts. They all get paid by Russians to spread propaganda that they all want to live free. They all want food. They all want cars. They don't have that. They don't have that shit. They don't even have the chance of having it. Not without being a criminal and doing really bad things. I mean, people talk about the cartel. It's like Russia is the giant cartel, okay? And they've been working on our country for 50 years, and they finally got enough morons to take the money, to put out the BS, to get in everybody's mind and divide this country like this. They've been working on Donald Trump to be president since the mid 80s because they knew he had the money. And, in the 80s, he was much better looking. And in the 80s, he was like, I'm a real estate developer. And, everybody, He was all over TV. He was always on magazines. People really admired Donald Trump in the 80s. So he went to Russia a couple times, and they were like, yeah, let's get him to run for president. And he ran a couple of different times. He couldn't get in. But they've been working on him that long. And this 50-year plan that the KGB has had for the United States to demoralize us, it adds up. It all coordinates. What's going on here? I don't know why. I had a bunch of people watching, and all of a sudden I lost the connection. Sucks. Oh well. It's not a perspective. It's actually, if you look it up, it was a plot on our country from Russia for years. I'm trying to find the tab. If you just Google KGB 39 years ago, KGB defector chillingly predicted the state of the United States right now, modern America, because it was a plot. But the plot that they set up back then didn't have social media because, there was no internet back then. But they would do it. Believe it or not, this country was like this in the 40s. We were just as divided, and there was just as much fighting and racism. But instead of the Mexicans and the black people, it was the Jews. And there were California suntan blonde Nazis. There were people in New York City that were Nazis. And they had a huge rally in Madison Square Garden. And it was called the German American Bund. Like Bundy, but without the Y. It was called the German American Bund. And they had hate rallies all the time, just like Donald Trump, And they spread all that mess. And back then, they used to drop it from planes into black neighborhoods. And there would be letters from Germany to black men that would say, oh, black men in America, you guys should come to Germany. You're getting treated so poorly there. And so, and they also got all these senators on the Republican Party. Well, some Democrats, but most of them were Republicans. They would pay them. Now, in 1939, $20,000, $40,000, that was like $2 million now. They would pay them every month because they had a budget, like for mailers, like in the mail. So instead of internet, they would just like send letters and flyers that were discouraging Americans to want to participate in the war against Hitler. And it almost succeeded. They blew up a munitions plant in New Jersey. They blew up a number of buildings back then. It was all brushed under the rug, like they're trying to do with January 6th. There was a lot of violence in the 30s. It's exactly the same right now. Exactly the same. But if you want to know what's happening in the country right now, look it up. Look it up. There's one article on, it's called Big Think. I'll read a little bit of it to you. 39 years ago, a KGB defector chillingly predicted modern America. The key takeaways. A former KGB agent named Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov claimed in 1984 that Russia has a long-term goal of ideologically subverting the U.S. He described the process as a great brainwashing that has 4 basic stages. The first stage, he said, is demoralization, which would take approximately 20 years to achieve. Okay, hold on. I have to. The Soviet Union in 1954 decided to start this plan against America. Okay, so he said the 4 stages. The first stage is demoralization. Let's see what the second stage is here. It says he was a defector KGB agent like Putin. So they learn espionage, brainwashing, all this stuff. And it's so much easier now to brainwash people because of social media. Because if you want to believe something, you can find it anywhere on the internet. You can find, people that eat earwax. You can find people that drink blood. And if you drank blood, you'd find other people to hang out with that also did that. I mean, there's so many little pockets of people that can just lie to each other, lie to themselves, because we're all so cocooned now. I mean, it's not fun to go out anymore. People don't socialize. They just get in your ass and want to fight or tell you to shut up or be quiet or insult you, or that is not the jam. Okay? No. I grew up in the 80s. I was partying in nightclubs when I was 15. I know what fun is, and this ain't it. This is why this is my first live, because I love people. I like to be outside. I don't like to be reading miserable shit. Okay. So, the first stage of the ideological warfare on American life is demoralization. Okay. What's the next step? It is to change. Okay, so what does that mean? Demoralization. It means that you can see it with your own eyes. You can know that it's wrong, but you refuse to believe it because you're too busy defending your own family and your own ideas. And you're too busy just trying to live. Yeah, it sounds like we're right about there. The great brainwashing. Let's see. It sounds like we're right about there. The great brainwashing. Let's see. The great brainwashing. Let's see. I'll just stay broke, and that's just gonna have to be it. Because I can't become a Republican just for money. I mean, to me, that's the worst type of hooker. Okay, so the demoralization process can often be completely irreversible, and it's extremely dangerous. The idea is to get people to stop believing in their country and think of patriotism in a different way, in a way to separate everyone from each other and stay in their own kind, like segregation, I guess. Let's see. Once demoralization is complete, the second stage of ideological brainwashing is destabilization. So I guess that would have been like COVID. Destabilization. During this 2 to 5 year period, what matters most is targeting essential structural elements of the targeted nation: economy, foreign relations, defense systems, basically the subverter, Russia, would look to destabilize every one of those areas in the United States, considerably weakening it. You know, this part has not occurred yet, but this administration is facilitating that. Okay? It's what I like to call MAWA. Make America weak, actually. Okay, so if we think about the military and we put in, we had someone as strong as Mark Milley or Lloyd Austin, and then we take a newscaster drunk and put him in, what does that do? It weakens the defense and military because it leaves us open for an attack. It leaves us with nobody to be reliable to give orders. I mean, the man is not experienced. He doesn't even know how to give orders, the kind of orders that would protect this country. He's not even experienced in, give me a break. Okay, like disease, that could be the next attack. Like having somebody like Dr. Oz and RFK Jr., a man with a literal worm eating his brain, and another man who is a worm with no brain. He just has a doctor's. I mean, is he really a doctor? Is he? So then, like, we can be weakened by disease and lose a bunch of people again because we have people stopping the funding of vaccine research. And next is the food. RFK Jr. thinks we should all be drinking raw milk. And another thing that's going to affect the food is the deportation. Because if we want fresh food now, who's going to pick it? I mean, we probably would have to do tour buses to orchards as Americans to try to save the crops so we could eat it. I mean, I don't see any other way. That's the only way we could do it. Terrorism. Yeah. That's another thing. Making people scared to speak out, scared to go outside, scared to associate with each other. The third stage would be a crisis. So a crisis would be food, lack of food. Okay, that's a third stage in the KGB structure of trying to break down the United States. So the crisis here, it says Bezmenov suggests would be a violent change of power structure and economy. Which is this administration? It's terrifying. Violent change of power structure and economy. It's, you know what? It's very odd. It's almost like somebody gave Donald Trump and all of his buddies this plan. See, it really seems like they are following it to the letter. It says this will happen to America unless it gets rid of people who will bring it to a crisis. What's more, if people will fail to grasp the impending danger of what that development does, nothing will ever be able to save the United States. You can kiss your freedom goodbye. Wow. That he said this in 1984. And it's happening. It's totally happening. If you look it up, the video is under KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov's warning to America in 1984. But yeah, it's almost like Putin handed it to somebody. Could it be Musk that's telling Trump what to do, because he used to be a Democrat and then he started being friends with Putin, and now he's not. And now look at him. Okay. Another thing that people are not really thinking through is the danger of Americans getting rounded up with the deportation. Now, we all think that the deportation is going to only be, Mexicans and people. A lot of us look like Mexicans, okay? A lot of us look like foreigners, to racists. And they're not sending them straight back to Mexico. No. All of those people in the GOP, all the people that you see with money, like Jeff Sessions and Lindsey Graham, all those people, they're heavily invested in private prisons in this country. And they're going to use, they're going to say that all these migrants deserve, I just lost my train of thought. Due process. They're going to say they all deserve due process and they have to be seen by a judge. So where do you think they're going to hold them? In fucking private prisons. I mean, it might as well be Guantanamo Bay. We're not going to be able to know where they are. And any one of us can get locked up and put in a private prison. And they love it because every prisoner is like $100,000 a month of income. So if they round up all these migrants and put them into their jails that they invested in, they will make billions of dollars on this deportation shit. And American citizens are going to get wrapped up in it by mistake. Any one of us could wind up in prison for 5-10 years before we see a judge. There aren't that many judges. Everybody needs to get vigilant. I don't care what party you're in. This is bullshit. I mean, Trump made $50 billion on a fake ass coin. Tons of MAGA lost millions. Come on, MAGA. Come on. Come on over to the American side because you're being manipulated by Russians. This is not a normal thing. And you've got people with weak brain matter following a fucking Russian playbook that they've had on this country for 50 damn years. This was a long-term, long-game plot to take over our country and ruin it. So, wake up, read about it, okay? And if I can get my shit together, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm glad that somebody listened to me a little bit. Man, max out. Hey, thank you. Who opened the borders intentionally? The Democrats? I don't think. I don't know how many Democrats are invested in private jails, but I know there's a lot of Republicans in heavily invested in private prisons. So if they round up a bunch of people, they'll make billions just holding them for a couple of years till they get in front of a judge. Those people may never see freedom again. I mean, you can't trust regular ass police to do the right thing. They'll just leave them languish there forever. I mean, it's getting ready to be a dangerous time, and people don't need to be laughing and joking and dancing on TikTok. We all need to be talking to each other and educating each other and learning the best ways to protect ourselves, store food, and bank money and hide it and keep it out the bank. So I'm really sad that I had so many I had so many people that tuned in before now I just have you, man, max out. Well, thanks for listening at all because I had to get that off my chest, but I'm going to talk about it tomorrow too. I'm going to have it all printed out and then I'm going to type in the links there. Keep watching. I know a lot of stuff. But I don't know if you like Rachel Maddow. If you watch or listen to her podcast called Ultra, it tells you all about the 30s. This is an exact same thing, except for instead of using paper, they're using the internet and like fancy AI movies to mislead people and, get people not to love and believe in each other. The best thing people should do is take off that red hat and, you know, and we should stop hating MAGA because they were very, very manipulated and very lied to. So I don't hate MAGA anymore. And maybe I'll go out with that guy. I don't know. Maybe I'll give him some, but if I see that MAGA hat, I still probably am going to take a shit and light it on fire. But he doesn't have to know about that. All right, I'm going to go. I don't have any patience. Oh, I don't know. How long do people do lives for? I only have 3% left in my phone. I don't have any more time. All right. Good night, folks. And I'm going to try this again tomorrow. My first live. Number one live. First one. All right. Bye. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. You're like the only person. I don't see anybody else. Oh, thank you. Bye. I don't even know how to get off. Is this how?